Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Global. We'll get you top stories from India and the region. I am Tanvi Taneja, and for news from the rest of the world, I'll be joined shortly by my colleague in London, Ollie Barrett. Up first, we take a look at the headlines. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi begins his third consecutive term. To chair the first cabinet meeting this evening, signs the first file related to farmers' welfare after assuming charge today. Centre-right European People's Party emerges as the largest group in European Parliament with 191 seats. Ursula von der Leyen eyes another term at the helm. Emmanuel Macron calls shock French elections after far-right rout. Kremlin says it will closely watch the snap elections in France. And US Secretary of State Antony Blinken heads to the Middle East again as fears of regional conflict surge. Narendra Modi took charge as India's Prime Minister for the third time on Monday. In a reflection of the government's commitment to farmers' welfare, the Prime Minister of India authorized the release of 17th installment of Prime Minister Kisan Nidhi scheme, which is a fund for farm welfare. Notably, this is the government's first decision in its new term. It will benefit some 93 million farmers and disperse around $2.3 billion. After signing the file, the Prime Minister said, and I quote him, "Ours is a government fully committed to Kisan Kalyan, that's farmers' welfare. It is therefore fitting that the first file signed on taking charge is related to farmers' welfare. We want to keep working even more for the farmers and agriculture sector in the times to come." Unquote. Further, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that it has been his constant endeavour to make the Prime Minister's office a hub of service and make a people's PMO, that's Prime Minister's office in New Delhi. Prime Minister Modi was addressing the officials of the Prime Minister's office on Monday after taking charge as the Prime Minister for a third term.
मेरे लिए पीएमओ सत्ता केंद्र बने, पीएमओ शक्ति केंद्र बने, ये न मेरी इच्छा है न मेरा वो रास्ता है। और इसलिए 2014 से हमने जो कदम उठाए, आपने मार्क किया होगा, और पहले जो पीएमओ में रहे होंगे उनसे पूछ लेना, हमने इसको एक कैटलिक एजेंट के रूप में ही डेवलप करने की कोशिश की है। वो कैटलिक एजेंट के यहां से ऊर्जा प्रसारित होती रहे, यहां से नई नई चेतना प्रसारित होती रहे, जो पूरे तंत्र के अंदर एक प्रकार से विद्युत की तरह नई चमक दे, नई रोशनी दे, नई सामर्थ्य दे। और मेरी कोशिश रही है कि पीएमओ ये सेवा का अधिष्ठान होना चाहिए, पीएमओ ये पीपल्स पीएमओ होना चाहिए, ये मोदी पीएमओ नहीं हो सकता है। और इसलिए मेरे दिल दिमाग में सिवाय 140 करोड़ कोई नहीं, और मेरे लिए 140 करोड़ नागरिक नहीं है, मेरे लिए 140 करोड़ परमात्मा का रूप है। और जब मैं सरकार में बैठ करके कोई निर्णय करता हूं तो मैं सोच रहा हूं कि मैंने आज 140 करोड़ देशवासियों को इस रूप में मैंने पूजा की है, और उनके चरणों में मैंने इस योजना के रूप में एक पुष्प चढ़ाया है। उस भाव से मैं काम करता हूं। टीम ने मुझे 10 साल में बहुत कुछ दिया है, उसमें हम और नया क्या कर सकते हैं, और अच्छा कैसे कर सकते हैं, और जल्दी कैसे कर सकते हैं, और ज्यादा स्केल पर कैसे कर सकते हैं। अगर उन चीजों को लेकर के आप साथ ही आगे बढ़ते हैं तो मुझे पक्का विश्वास है कि 140 करोड़ देशवासियों ने आपके पुरुषार्थ को मोहर लगाई है। ये चुनाव मोदी के भाषणों को मोहर नहीं है, ये चुनाव आपके 10 साल के हर सरकारी कर्मचारियों के पुरुषार्थ को मोहर लगी हुई है। इसलिए इस विजय के बड़े हकदार अगर कोई है तो आप लोग हैं। इस विजय के सच्चे हकदार कोई है तो भारत सरकार के हर कर्मचारी भी हैं कि जिन्होंने एक विजन के लिए अपने आप को खपा देने में कोई कमी नहीं रखी और देश में पहले से बहुत तेज गति से काम हुए जिसका परिणाम भी नजर आ रहा है। लेकिन मैं एक नई ऊर्जा के साथ नए हौसले के साथ आगे बढ़ना चाहता हूं। मैं विराम करने के लिए पैदा नहीं हुआ हूं।
Enthusiasm of our newly elected Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The first cabinet meeting of Modi 3.0 government is now underway in New Delhi. On Sunday, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the new Council of Ministers took the oath. Draupadi Murmu, President of India, administered the oath to the Prime Minister and his ministerial colleagues at a function in Rashtrapati Bhavan. So earlier, Prime Minister Narendra Modi thanked the world leaders for their congratulatory messages on taking oath as the Prime Minister for the third term. Responding to a social media post by Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, Prime Minister Modi said that India is looking forward to work with Canada based on mutual understanding and respect for each other's concerns. Prime Minister Modi also extended thanks to leaders of Finland, Slovenia, Uganda, Pakistan and Afghanistan upon taking charge. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also responded to Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates' congratulatory message for his oath-taking ceremony. He expressed deep appreciation, highlighting their past discussion on technology in governance and healthcare and India's commitment to climate change. On to Europe now. The far right made gains in the European Union elections even as the centre, Liberal and Socialist parties were set to hold ground in the 720-seat parliament. The vote has come as a major setback to the leaders of both France and Germany, whose parties have suffered losses. In France, President Emmanuel Macron called a snap poll, while German Chancellor Olaf Scholz's Social Democrats registered their worst result ever. A rightwards shift inside the European Parliament may make it tougher to pass new laws. Incumbent European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen has said that she wanted to build a majority in EU's Parliament for a strong and effective Europe and was confident that she could win a new mandate.
I am confident, but of course, I know that there's still a lot of hard work ahead of me. I'm happy to address this work. But I'm definitely confident what my running for a second mandate is concerned. My aim is to continue on this path with those who are pro-European, pro-Ukraine, pro-rule of law. And as of tomorrow, this work starts again.
And DD India's Alex Cadier now joins us from Brussels on this story. Hi, Alex. So do the results reflect any change in the direction the EU is expected to take?
Well, they certainly reflect a change in the mood of voters, an increase for far-right parties across the European Union in key countries like Germany, France, the Netherlands, and others, Austria as well. Now, there are some exceptions to the rule. Poland's centrist coalition has come in first and kept right-wing forces at bay, similarly in Finland and elsewhere. But clearly this will make a different political atmosphere in the European Parliament. The centrist centre-right, centre-left groups will maintain their majority. They will be able to continue to set the tone, set the direction of the European Parliament, and therefore have more influence when it comes to who gets to have the senior roles in the European Commission, that building behind me. But when it comes to legislating and getting laws through the Parliament, there will be deals to be made with far-right parties. So that could mean things like hardline migration policies coming back, or the environment having less of a priority, fewer green legislation being put forward, for example. One thing we suspect will not be something that the centrist parties are up for negotiating is Ukraine. Ursula von der Leyen saying we will work with pro-European, pro-Ukrainian, pro-rule of law parties. What we'll see now is negotiating, horse trading between those parties, trying to appoint the roles of the European Commission behind me. So there will be a lot of dealings, political negotiations over the next couple of weeks in Brussels.
Okay, thank you very much, Alex Cadier. Alex Cadier reporting to us from Brussels. So yes, this result has brought a lot of shocking waves for people outside Brussels. And to take us forward from here, I'm now joined by my colleague, Ollie Barrett here. Ollie, over to you.
Thank you, Tavi. And yes, one of those shockwaves is in France, where President Emmanuel Macron has stunned the country by calling a snap parliamentary election. Macron dissolved parliament after his party's poor showing in those EU elections. Macron was trounced in the EU vote by Marine Le Pen's far-right party, National Rally. According to exit polls, National Rally won around 32% of the vote, more than double Macron's 15% for his party. The president's unexpected move could leave him in a nearly powerless position if the National Rally Party wins a parliamentary majority.
Prévue à l'article 12 de notre Constitution.
After having proceeded with the consultations as provided in the Article 12 of our Constitution, I decided to give back to you the choice for the future of our Parliament with a vote, and so I am dissolving tonight our National Assembly. This is not a good result for parties that defend Europe, including the presidential majority. The parties of the far right, which in recent years oppose so much progress driven by our Europe, these parties are making gains everywhere around the continent.
Que la parole soit donnée au peuple souverain.
Well, the Kremlin's expressing interest in the upcoming snap elections in France. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov says Russia is following the results of the European parliamentary elections, in which some far-right and Eurosceptic parties have made major gains.
Composition of the European Parliament. But we also see the dynamic of increasing popularity of right-wing parties. This dynamic is visible to the naked eye, and of course, despite the fact that for now the pro-Europeans retain their leading position, but over time, apparently the right-wing parties will start to step on their heels. Therefore, we are closely monitoring these processes.
UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has ruled out resigning amid setbacks during his election campaign. Last week, the UK Prime Minister apologised for leaving D-Day commemorations in France early and carrying out an interview in the UK. His early departure has been acknowledged as a mistake by other senior figures in his Conservative Party. The UK's main opposition party, Labour, will publish its manifesto on Thursday. According to opinion polls, the party is set to defeat the ruling Conservatives on the July the 4th election. The two parties clashed last week after Prime Minister Rishi Sunak said that Labour would raise taxes by $2,500 per household if it comes to power. Labour's accused Rishi Sunak of lying about how that figure was reached. The party's leader, Keir Starmer, says Labour doesn't require tax rises over and above those that they've already set out. Next to Israel, where Minister Benny Gantz has announced his resignation from Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's war cabinet. Gantz says Netanyahu is preventing an advance towards a true victory over Hamas. Gantz says there should be elections to establish a government that can win the trust of the people and be able to face challenges. Netanyahu issued a statement calling on Gantz not to abandon the front. Gantz is seen as Netanyahu's main political rival in Israel. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken has arrived in Egypt on Monday to push for a ceasefire in Gaza and to try and prevent the conflict spreading to Lebanon. Blinken will meet with the Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi in Cairo before travelling to Israel, where he will meet with the Israeli Prime Minister and the Defence Minister. In his 8th recent visit to the region, the top US diplomat is also set to travel to Jordan and Qatar this week. The visit follows President Joe Biden's proposal for a 3-phase ceasefire plan, which includes ending hostilities, releasing hostages and prisoners, and rebuilding Gaza. And with that, Tanvi, back to you in the studio.
Thank you very much, Ollie. Ollie Barrett joining us all from London. Still to come on DD India Global. South Korea and the United States hold nuclear consultative group talks amid chances of a potential war with North Korea.
Wherever news breaks, whatever it takes.
Connecting corners, cutting across continents.
Stories that matter from across the globe.
Accurate, authentic journalism that serves you right. From politics to glamour, from sports to world affairs, with a fusion of aesthetics and substance. Introducing news in a new avatar. Experience the world through a new lens. Stay tuned to DD India for an exciting journey beyond borders.
Thank you for staying with us. You're watching DD India Global. I am Tanvi Taneja. Back to New Delhi, where it was a lot of action yesterday when Modi 3.0 government took shape. DD India's senior consulting editor Sakal Bhatt spoke to Mary Miliband in a special broadcast on Modi 3.0. She spoke about the oath-taking ceremony, her experience when she sought Prime Minister Narendra Modi's blessings, and how Prime Minister Modi silenced West critics with the third-term win. Listen in to what she said.
Narendra Modi is one of the most popular world leaders, yes, quote unquote, in America. And now with this third term, how do you see that?
Well, you know, I certainly see it as a positive. If I were to be a little candid, he certainly has proved all his critics wrong in the West, and that makes me happy because, unfortunately, there has been more critics arising in the West as it compares to the Prime Minister. But this third term, this historic third term, certainly has silenced those critics, and it has encouraged and more or less required everyone to come to the table in support of the Prime Minister and the future of India. And so it is an exciting day in the United States. I know, talking with a lot of friends and folks here in the Indian American community over the course of the weekend and certainly today, it's a wonderful time. And I certainly know, as many know, that the Prime Minister is the best leader for the U.S.-India relationship.
So, a day after taking oath as a cabinet minister in Prime Minister Narendra Modi-led NDA government, Dr. S. Jaishankar called on the leaders of the neighbouring countries who attended the swearing-in ceremony in New Delhi. Jaishankar met Maldivian President Dr. Mohamed Moizu on Monday and expressed hope that India and Mali will work together. Dr. Jaishankar also called on Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina and said that the two countries continue to share friendly ties. Dr. Jaishankar also called on Bhutan's Prime Minister Shering Tobgay. Further, Dr. Jaishankar met Sri Lankan President Ranil Wickremesinghe and recognized the steady progress in India-Sri Lanka relations. Jaishankar also called on the Prime Ministers of Nepal, Mauritius and the Vice President of Seychelles. More from India. A new terrorist attack wreaked panic in India's northern Jammu and Kashmir after a bus plunged into a gorge after being attacked by terrorists on Sunday. 10 people were killed and 33 others injured after the terrorists fired upon a bus carrying pilgrims from a shrine in Riyasi district. The bus rolled down a gorge following the attack. The police evacuated all passengers and rushed the injured to the hospital. Security has been tightened in the area and drones are being used to search the terrorists. Further, a National Investigation Agency has reached Riyasi to investigate the attack. The Indian Army has launched a manhunt after the terror attack. More from Asia now. Amid chances of a potential war with North Korea, South Korea and the United States have held nuclear consultative group talks on Monday. The third edition was a follow-up on the last year's summit. Both sides reviewed draft guidelines during the meeting, which outlines the principles and procedures for maintaining and enhancing a credible and effective nuclear deterrence policy and posture. North Korea is moving to install propaganda loudspeakers aimed at neighboring South Korea on Monday. Earlier, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un's sister, Kim Yo-jong, issued a warning through state media on Sunday, threatening a fresh retaliation against South Korea if it continued loudspeaker broadcasts, leaflet scattering amid escalating tensions. On Sunday, South Korea's military confirmed the resumption of loudspeaker broadcasts aimed at North Korea in response to Pyongyang's refusal to halt sending balloons containing garbage into the south. You're watching DD India Global. We now take a look at other stories making news around the world. Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov and his Chinese counterpart Wang Yi met on the sidelines of BRICS in Russia on Monday. Both the sides discussed issues related to the further development of the BRICS grouping and expansion of the intergovernmental organization. Residents and volunteers of farming community of Ishikawa Prefecture in Japan performed an annual ritual called Mushiokure. The ceremony is held every year after the rice planting is done to chase harmful insects away from rice fields with torches. The event also strengthens community bond among the participants. In a special event, the endangered Malayan tapir was selected as the environmental icon of Malaysia's Selangor. The event was launched by Raja Muda of Selangor, Tengku Amir Shah, who also planted a rambutan packet tree and released a great hornbill in conjunction with the event. And spectators were treated to breathtaking views as contestants competed in the highest altitude dragon boat race on the Lhasa River, Lhasa city of southwestern Xinjiang Autonomous Region in China. The Dragon Boat Race Festival is celebrated in China, also known as Duanwu. The festival is traditional Chinese holiday observed on the 5th day of the 5th month of the Chinese calendar. So that's all for this edition of DD India Global. Do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on our different social media handles at DD India Live. And for those on the go, you can download our DD India mobile app for quick news and updates. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Tanvi Taneja from my entire team in New Delhi. Thank you for watching. Namaskar.